Hello and welcome to the Fox 54 Week in Review, your place to get an entire week's worth of headlines condensed into an hour-long program. I'm Kenesha Dees, and here's what's on tap for you this week. Going by the book to adhere to content policy changes means a new form for parents of kids who use the Huntsville-Madison County Public Library system. We let you know what's changing and how it affects what your kids check out. A blustery Saturday made for some intense kite flying weather, but it's something North Alabamians do this time every year. We'll take you to the annual Community Kite Festival and remind you about its very special purpose. And several North Alabama high school basketball teams went down to Birmingham for a chance at tournament glory. How did they fare? Mo and Nick will be along later for some Roundball Roundup. This week's top story follows dissent going on in Decatur among city council members as they install an interim police chief. Accusations of a mayor who stopped caring and the man taking charge of law enforcement who has a message for them as well as the citizens. Let's take a look back. The Decatur City Council meeting tonight for the first time since it was announced a new face would be leading the city's police department. The man to take Pinion's place is Natus Carlisle Jr. It's not his first time in this type of position or his first time with DPD. Most of his career has been in Decatur, and he served as interim chief of police for Decatur once before. Tonight, city council and community members weighed in on the new leadership decision.
I believe that everything that should have been accomplished by the mayor's office and within the leadership of the police department should have occurred a lot earlier than it had. I believe that the council is going to select a full-time chief. And I believe that the council should be given some sort of oversight or some sort of warning, because we as the council, we represent everybody in the city.
People need to realize that the mayor is holding a lot of these cards in the city's current situation. Every move he makes is intentional, and he controls the moves of a lot of people out here that hold positions. My plea to the city directors and those in positions of power is to stop following the mayor's commands, especially when you know they are detrimental to our city and just flat out wrong. He's not going to be here for long, whether he steps down or chooses to sit in the position and do nothing till the end of his term. The fact is his time is limited.
Fox 54 did reach out to Decatur officials to see when the community can expect Carlisle to take over as interim chief, and we have not yet heard back. Decatur City Council member Hunter Pepper says he believes it's time for Mayor Tab Bowling to resign. This comes after a dispute during last night's city council meeting discussing the future of the city's police department.
I guess I'm just shocked to hear. I know you wanted me to select.
Yeah, Monday night's meeting was the first time the city council publicly met after Mayor Tab Bowling announced Natus Carlisle Jr. as the city's interim police chief. Pepper says no one on the city council had any say on who took the temporary position. And our Gabe Glassman has more.
Decatur District 4 Representative Hunter Pepper publicly called for the resignation of Tab Bowling earlier Tuesday night. In a statement made to his Facebook account, he says in part, quote, "I think it's time for Mayor Tab Bowling to resign from his current position. I believe the mayor had good intentions for quite some time and has done a fair job with the hand he was dealt. But it's clear that his actions have shown a decline in his care for our city. Resigning his position would allow the city to push forward and grow." During Monday night's city council meeting, Pepper says it's been a very difficult time for them and the city as a whole.
The past 17 months, the city has been hurting through quite a bit of things, and there's been multiple incidents to occur.
The catalyst being the death of Steve Perkins, who was shot and killed by a Decatur police officer during that time.
I believe that the mayor's office didn't accomplish anything, and neither did the leadership within the police department. They didn't accomplish anything. Everything that should have been accomplished by the mayor's office and within the leadership of the police department should have occurred a lot earlier than it had. And excuse me, rephrase that. It should have occurred. It never did.
Mayor Tab Bowling took exception to this during the meeting, reminding Pepper of his unwavering support for former police chief Todd Pinion and the police department as a whole.
I guess I'm just shocked to hear. I know you wanted me to select something else, but you've been a supporter of Chief Pinion.
I have.
And so to say that I've been neglected with you also being a supporter of Chief Pinion, I don't quite understand that.
Pepper agreed on where his previous support had laid, but he says he wants to work to bring the city together. Pepper's statement says the mayor has chosen to dump so many issues on us, issues that could have been resolved by his office, but instead he chooses to let them drag on and on. This must end. In Decatur, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
And in a statement to FOX54, Decatur Tab Bowling responded to Hunter Pepper's comments saying, quote, "I guess take it from the source. He has a right to his opinion, and he also has a right to be wrong," end quote.
My name is Chief Natus Carlisle. I am the police chief in Decatur, Alabama. I want to make this statement. I respect the right of every citizen to express their opinions and peacefully protest. That is a fundamental part of our democracy. However, I must address the misinformation being spread regarding my appointment and my record as a law enforcement officer. The claims of misconduct against me are entirely false and without merit. My career has been dedicated to upholding the highest standards of integrity, accountability, and service to the community. I have consistently worked to build trust, improve public safety, and implement fair, transparent policing policies and practices. It is important that decisions about leadership in law enforcement be based on facts, experience, and demonstrated commitment to public service, not on baseless accusations meant to discredit progress. I welcome constructive dialogue, and I am committed to working with all members of the community, including those that may have concerns, to ensure we move forward together toward a safer, more unified city. Thank you.
Workers with the Department of Defense now concerned about federal micromanagement after being told they have to respond to OPN emails describing what they did in the last week, every week moving forward. This comes just a couple weeks after they were told to wait for more direction. This new directive means every DoD worker will have to send 5 bullet points each week to an internal email, but some are worried about national security, their job, and what lies ahead. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo spoke with one anonymous DoD employee who tells us what this means for the workforce.
You remember that list federal employees have to send saying what they've done in the last week? DoD officials first told their employees to wait, but now they have to fill it out. With performance reviews already in place every 6 months, some of those employees fear it's a way to overburden them and get them to quit.
I don't know if it's meant to put an undue burden on the workforce and make it more cumbersome to work for the federal government as a way to push people out of the government. I can't fathom why the duplication in this effort. Since we're already, tracking performance, we're already tracking accomplishments, we're already tracking contributions.
Instead of responding to the Office of Personnel Management's email directly, employees are now being told to send their bullet points to an internal DoD email. After that, the information is compiled and sent as a mass report to the OPM. But the whole situation has some federal workers feeling like they're not appreciated for doing their job.
Being constantly met with people claiming that we're lazy or freeloaders or something like that, and we're just a drain on the American taxpayer. All that kind of really gets to you.
FBI Chaplain Corey Rowe says it's all designed to make federal employees worry about whether they'll be deemed important or not.
They're living in fear, and they're living wondering, wow, should I even open up my email to find out what's going on? That's fear.
And that can have consequences that cut deep.
That fear causes a lot of emotional and mental stress, anxiety, depression. People can become suicidal because now they're looking to see, hey, I can't survive like this. How am I going to take care of my children?
DoD employees and federal workers at large are left wondering what's next for their job, their family, and their country. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The DoD employee we spoke with says he doesn't know who will end up with the information they're sending off each week. He also doesn't know how it's going to be used, but he fears it'll be fed into artificial intelligence to determine who needs to be cut.
An economic boycott aimed at sending a message in the wake of the Trump administration's decision to cut diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the nation is getting some local support. As tensions rise around these policy changes, local businesses are feeling the strain, but they also stand as an essential part of the fight to promote inclusivity and support diversity. Participants today were encouraged to avoid major retailers, fast food, and credit cards during the economic blackout, and to purchase essentials for small local businesses. We spoke with community on why movements like this are important.
This economic blackout is very important for people coming together, understanding that the sum of our parts is greater as a whole. To understand that when we use bank cards and credit cards, 3% of those processing fees leave our community again. And so understanding the importance of using cash so that our local business owners hold more of the wealth that they're trying to generate.
Strength in numbers.
Having that awareness would really benefit some of the smaller businesses.
Friday's economic boycott looks to send a message by taking the power of the dollar,
redistributing our economic power to make sure that companies that are pulling back DEI initiatives, that are pulling back language that explicitly serve us, understand that we will not support their bottom line if they don't support us.
and supporting those who support the community.
I think it's hugely important, particularly for people who are more marginalized. Having a space where you can walk in and just be like, oh my God, I feel like I'm at home and I can relax.
Kat Phillips, facilitator for Meerkat Healing Arts, illustrates how this impact looks.
We're sold this idea that like, we're all down here at the bottom and then the wealthy are up here at the top and the money like is supposed to trickle down, right? And really what ends up happening is it trickles from us to them, right? And then it pools down here at the bottom, right? But we're bigger than them. As a group, we hold more power.
Casey Tobias, CEO of Blaze Group LLC, says Friday's boycott is just the beginning.
This is our first day in the gym, and it is intended for us to keep doing it again and again. It will get easier and easier, especially in a world where convenience is the only reason we shop outside of our communities. When we get these 24-hour periods of finding new avenues and new businesses to support, it makes it easy for us to default to that behavior as a steady state practice.
Tobias said the collective purchasing power of the Black community alone is $1.3 billion and is projected to hit $1.7 billion by 2030.
We do want to clarify the first day that the chief started was actually today. So the interim chief did start today. A new policy started today at Huntsville-Madison County Public Libraries. It's the Young Reader Library Card System, and it requires all parents or guardians to submit a waiver in order for their kids to have more access to more mature levels of content. These are the different levels parents can choose from. Every child starts at level 1, which grants access to the juvenile section of the library with books and videos aimed for audiences aged 0 to 12. Level 2 allows for a little bit more mature content in the young adult section with an aimed audience for 13 to 17-year-olds. And parents can also choose level 3, which grants full access to the adult section aimed for audiences 18 and up. Our Gabe Glassman breaks down the new policy.
Back in July, the Alabama Public Library Service sent a message out requiring policy changes in order to receive financial aid from the state.
What we implemented today was part of that policy update, which is our Young Readers cards now have 3 tiers.
These 3 tiers are the options available to parents in order from least to most content.
A guarantor, who is usually a guardian or caregiver of that child, they need to sign a waiver stating what kind of access they'd like that child to have.
Kids will only be able to access books and media in the juvenile section of the building if their caregiver doesn't fill out the form. Huntsville-Madison County Public Library says this gives full control to the parents to decide what content their child can have. HMCPL leaders add they've had waivers open since December. They've received more than 1,000 forms since, most of which allowing full access to their kids.
Our goal is to make sure that our teen population continue to have access to. There's multiple ways to implement it, and everybody's interpreting the policies in their own way.
I think it's a good safety feature. I certainly would like that for my grandkids.
Huntsville resident Lisa Johnson is a grandmother. She says the new policy could help parents provide more protection and act as a talking point for them and their kids.
It's another way to, for parents or grandparents to interact with their children and to be talking about what they're reading and the content that they have. It's a good opportunity just to have someone, an adult, just kind of checking in with them and seeing what kind of content. I think that would be very helpful and protective for them.
HMCPL also says parents are able to go in and make additional changes to what content they choose to allow their kids to access. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
More information about the Young Reader Library cards is available on fox54.com. Leaders with the Downtown Rescue Mission in Huntsville broke ground today to make more room for its women and children shelter. The expansion of the Owens House will double its capacity. Mission leaders tell Fox 54 that when the original building opened in 2019, it was at capacity within 6 months. Now some women have to sleep on mattresses on the floor. The organization's president, Keith Overholt, explains that the need was so strong, construction began before it was fully funded.
Our capital campaign for this, we so far have raised about $4 million. We're building the project before we have all the money, which will be about $7 million, because there's such a need. We've got to start this, and we know that God's going to supply our needs. This has all been given by individuals who want to invest in this property to help us expand. So it's all been individual donors.
Yes, Overholt added that in the last year, the mission's beds have been used more than 100,000 times. Murder or self-defense? A jury will decide that for a Fort Payne man on trial this week for capital murder. His defense, Alabama Stand Your Ground law. Here's the backstory to why he's on trial. Music teacher Keith Sullivan was arrested around this time last year for shooting and killing his neighbor Greg Bagwell. The shooting happened in 2023. The trial started today with jury selection and with a pool of more than 100 jurors to start. This comes after a Stand Your Ground hearing was denied by Circuit Judge Jonathan Bell. Fox 54's Caleb Aguaya was at the DeKalb County Courthouse on day one of the trial.
The trial for Keith Sullivan kicked off today in Fort Payne, and proceedings will begin as soon as they narrow down the jury pool. When I was there earlier, they still had 72 jurors. They needed to slim down to 12. Sullivan is on trial today for shooting and killing his neighbor Greg Bagwell in 2023. He and his lawyers claim it was self-defense, but a DeKalb County judge shot down his hearing to apply the Stand Your Ground law to the case. According to Sullivan's defense team, they're going to be releasing new evidence in this trial that they say will exonerate him.
When Keith went out on the porch that night, he had to do what he had to do, and he thought he had the right under Alabama law, and he did have the right. That guy was there to burn Keith's house down that night, to burn his house down. We found gasoline. We got so much evidence.
And the newest addition to Sullivan's legal team, New York attorney Thomas Caniff, tells us the security camera footage released in the trial will reveal all the details.
You're going to get to see this unfold. You're going to get to see Bagwell lurking around his porch, making furtive movements, clearly up to no good. You'll see when my client, Keith Sullivan, confronts Greg Bagwell and asks, "What are you doing here?" And Bagwell gives an answer that is indicative of someone there that is not there for any legitimate purpose. He says, "Oh, I thought you invited me up here." Really? At 2 a.m?
The main obstacle the defense faces is that after Sullivan fired a shot and Bagwell fell to the ground, he left his porch and shot Bagwell repeatedly. In total, Sullivan shot Bagwell 7 times.
A man's job is to defend his family. And this guy was literally 20 feet from an open window where his wife and his child were hunkered down in a bedroom in the floor behind a closet door, because they were in fear for their life.
Sullivan's supporters say he was acting to defend his family from immediate danger. In fact, Roy Bryant says Sullivan's family had to call the police on Bagwell twice for acting erratically earlier that day. The defense believes Sullivan calling the police led Bagwell to retaliate that night.
They had to call the police twice the previous day, the Sunday. And then when he shows up at 2 o'clock in the morning near the Sullivan's porch, Keith, not knowing what to expect out of this guy, when Keith came out there to protect his house and family, I don't think I would have done much differently.
The trial will likely continue all week, and at the end of it, family, friends, and many in the Grove Oak community are hoping to hear a verdict of not guilty. In the studio, Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
And we've also learned that Sullivan's family and legal team have started a legal defense fund. A preliminary hearing for a man accused of murder of a store clerk delayed. 21-year-old Jari Williams was set to appear before District Judge John Allen, but Allen delayed his case because of undisclosed issues with transportation. Williams is accused of the murder of Taylor North at the Circle K gas station in Harvest. Her family now looking to the state legislature for a solution to retail store violence. We've also learned early last month, Williams entered the Circle K in Harvest and allegedly shot North. The wake of her death saw a grieving family taking part in a balloon release you see here with dozens of attendees, a meal train fundraiser for her husband and child, and a bill to protect other retail clerks in the state known as Taylor's Law is in the works. North's family proposed the idea, and State Representative Andy Witt is now drafting it, planning to introduce the bill in the coming days. North's aunt, Kim Jones, shares the process she's been taking to get the issue heard by state legislators.
The petition had a lot of momentum. We are almost at 4,200 signatures now. And then we've had a couple of different people on TikTok pick up the story and that have, several followers, and they have shared the story. Like I said, we've met with Andy Witt. They're working on it. I know that Katie Britt's aware that got a letter back from Governor Ivey that, she's aware of what we're doing as well.
This weekend, Representative Witt has been meeting with the State Retail Association attorneys and other representatives to get the bill written. He's in Montgomery for the legislative session and didn't have the availability to comment today. But Fox 54 is keeping tabs on developments, both for the trial and the bill, as they move forward.
Uneasy times for those on the federal payroll, and we start tonight with the latest developments and their impacts in Huntsville and across the country following a court ruling Thursday. The firing of thousands of workers at various federal agencies is on hold. It's a temporary freeze for these probationary employees who received an email earlier this week warning they could be laid off in a matter of days. A union representative for around 11,000 employees at the Arsenal tells Fox 54 he estimates anywhere from 500 to 1,000, if not more, employees will be affected by the layoffs across Redstone Arsenal. American Federation of Government Employees President Abner Merriweather says if the dismissals do happen, affected employees should be given more time and notice of their release.
It's a lot of uncertainties. It created a lot of frustration, a lot of panic attack. It's just frustrating. They don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. If you go through the RIF procedure process, that process takes about a year. And the employee will feel a little bit more they're treated with dignity and with respect. Our position is let it go through the due process. If you're going to treat the employee with dignity and with respect, let it go through the RIF process. I think it could be done more in a more dignified way, with respect. They'll feel better. At least it could buy them time to find another job.
Merriweather says he hasn't heard of any firings today, and that's to be expected because of the court order. Less clear is whether another ruling would put cuts back in play.
Now, Fox 54 Top Teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
Tonight, we take you to Buckhorn Middle School. This teacher is all about science and sports, and in his classroom, sometimes the subjects intertwine. We hear he provides structure, but makes learning much more fun. Here's this week's top teacher, 7th grade science teacher, John Talley. In John Talley's 7th grade science class.
Feel the burn. Let's go. Feel the burn.
He keeps students on their feet.
We're going over muscles, how they work with other body systems, going over muscle soreness, so arm circles, squats, things like that.
It's the lesson of the day.
We're learning about the human body.
Talley has taught for 4 years at Buckhorn Middle School.
Don't mind me. All right, Ryan, get them out there nice and straight.
And sometimes his curriculum includes students learning and exercise, quite literally.
And the kids either enjoy it or hate it this day because they either don't want to work out at all or they want to show off, how well they can do each of those.
But whether they like the exercise or not, they're locked in to learning.
So just trying to get them in the lab as much as you can, or getting things where they get to get up and move and be creative.
When Talley isn't in the classroom, you'll likely find him coaching softball or football.
Football, I don't know, something about the game I really enjoy, really love, and want to kind of get these kids interested in that.
Buckhorn principal Justina Wills says he knows how to keep students on their toes.
He is organized and structured, but also knows how to engage students and just have fun.
Talley says improving his students' well-being motivates him to come in every day.
Being able to come in here every day and hopefully help these kids, enjoy being here a little bit, helping them get a little bit better, even if they're not actually learning as much science as they possibly could that day, at least build good habits that can help them succeed and be, do something good with their lives. It's just rewarding, to be able to actually see the change you can make in kids, whether it be in sports or in the classroom.
Pretty cool. Congratulations, John. Here's something else cool about him. He served in the Navy. We've got his full interview on Fox 54 Plus. Download on your TV, watch for free, and nominate a teacher at fox54.com.
On the final day of Black History Month, Huntsville city leaders and family members of the late Daniel Brandon came together to honor the local Mason. Brandon oversaw the construction of multiple historic downtown Huntsville buildings, including the Harrison Brothers hardware store. A historic marker was placed in front of the store to honor Brandon and his achievements in the community. First Missionary Baptist Church Pastor Dalen Woodle, whose church was built by Brandon's supervision, talked about how important it was to celebrate Brandon and his work.
Partner in the construction of our church in 1921 with Wallace Rayfield, the second licensed African-American architect in American history, whose legacy we uncover later on. And being a part of an event today to honor the sacrifices and the service of Mr. Brandon is an absolute honor.
To add on to their legacy, Brandon's wife Ellen was one of the first Black women to register to vote after the passing of the 19th Amendment.
A military-based mental health program aims to combat suicide with gun locks. Members of the Army Substance Abuse Program, or ASAP, will be giving out free gun locks Wednesday at Redstone Arsenal, Gate 9. About 50 to 75 gun locks will be handed out to help people with thoughts of self-harm. Organizers hope the locks give people a chance to rethink their actions.
They're just used as a protective factor. So if somebody is just thinking about something, harming themselves or someone else, these gun locks, these ones in particular with the key, are used as a means of safety for them, to have them pause, stop, and think about what they're doing before they actually do it. And again, this is just another method of safety for their gun lock, for the guns.
Yes, and again, from now through September, those gun locks will be distributed every month at Gate 9.
Over in Guntersville, the Parents Advocating for Community Transformation, or PAC, held their first group meeting today in the Guntersville. And it's all about bringing change to the city and school district for their kids. FOX54's Caleb Aguayo is taking us out to Marshall County, and he's showing us just what they want to change.
What's the word? Okay, y'all are listening. What else?
When community comes together, it's no small task. Today, about 20 families got together to get the ball rolling on making a common bond, and it's all for community change. Parents and their kids meeting up to talk about ways to bring their family and their city together. That's what's going on at the Guntersville Public Library this afternoon. It's hosted by the Children's Defense Fund and the Parents Advocating for Community Transformation. And according to organizers, they're looking to bring a positive impact to the families in their area.
We're new, so we're kind of just trying to figure out what we can do to help right now. And then once we go from there, maybe have more of a game plan on what we're going to do and how we're going to achieve it.
Today, they took in ideas and talked about ways they want the city to change for their children. But Joy Masha with the Children's Defense Fund says it all starts with a family support and to be the people you want your children to become.
We want to make sure they have a quality education, that they have a home where they can thrive in, that they have parents who experience dignity, hope, and joy, because they're passing that on to young people. We want to make sure they know when they grow up in this city that they can get a job if they want to, so they have a strong workforce, or that if they want to go off to college, that this community supports them in doing whatever they decide to do.
And parents with the group say if children miss that chance to be in a supportive community, they can miss out on a chance to feel like they can be themselves at home.
For those children that go not being seen or understood or heard, we want to make sure that they feel safe and comfortable being themselves around us. And that is really important because they could get left behind in this world.
They're unwell when they're not taken care of, when they don't have food to eat, or schools where they can be happy and learn and have books that reflect them, or a dream. What is it like to dream? And if our young people don't have a dream, we take away the hope of our nation.
That's why they decided to support each other and the kids, and they'll be hosting these meetings regularly to feed that local bond. In Guntersville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, FOX54 News.
Thank you, Caleb. The group and its meetings are open to the public, and they are actively looking for more members. If you're interested in joining, check out their Facebook page, and you can find that information on our website at fox54.com.
City Council met last night for the first time since 5 of the city's police officers, including the chief and the officer's wife, were arrested on multiple charges. Last night's discussion ended without any action after nearly 2 hours of heated discussion. You'll recall, Coleman County Sheriff Matt Gentry and the district attorney announced the indictment of these people, 4 of whom faced tampering with physical evidence charges. Photos revealed the unsecured evidence room where those charged were seen reaching through a hole in the wall to access drugs. The grand jury recommended the Huntsville Police Department be abolished. But some residents advocated for the department during last night's public comment section. The Huntsville Council chambers was packed full 30 minutes before the meeting began, with standing room quickly filling up and many others trying to listen in from the hallway. We heard from several community members about how they feel about the state and future of the police department.
Today they're asking for a good police department with good officers who are going to care about their concerns.
It's not just disappointing, it's disheartening. By the actions of a few within our police department, it has shaken the very trust between law enforcement and the people they are meant to protect.
Opinions mixed, but some let the council know they feel it's important to keep a police department in the city with a bit of fine-tuning.
The ability to tailor the police force to meet the needs of the community and change policies and procedures swiftly as needed for whatever situations arise in Huntsville.
I have yet met the first person that wants to see the police department dismantled. Get us a new chief, get the officers. We have good employees here still in the city of Huntsville.
This resident alleged corruption and abuse in the jail. One thing he says he experienced firsthand during an interaction with officers there and during his arrest.
There were two. One of them was very professional. I have told him countless times how I was so pleased with the way he behaved. The other one was the officer from hell. That officer hit me from behind, which I can't hardly still walk, with his knee, took me to the ground, and beat me mercifully. You can imagine the facilities in this jail, and I hope they've changed, were filthy. Were feces on the wall, feces on the water fountain, feces all over the floor. Looked like it hadn't been cleaned in 5 years. Have any of you ever went in that jail and looked at it?
2 hours later, any possible vote was tabled. Post-adjournment, we spoke to former Mayor Katie Whitley, who believes there's still corruption within the city.
I'm ashamed that it's happened. I'm ashamed that we didn't have more leadership down here. And I blame the council and the mayor for letting it happen, because that is their job.
And we also spoke to current city council member Patty Dean, who says it will take time, but it's important to get this matter right.
Our city has suffered the same way. We are guilty because we had bad people in the place of the police department.
For those who enjoy an occasional car concert, you might want to turn the knob down just a tad bit. A new tougher vehicle noise ordinance in Huntsville takes effect at midnight. We told you about this earlier in the month. The city passed new regulations to crack down on what many consider a nagging problem. Now, louder than acceptable vehicle noise caused by modifications such as amplified mufflers will result in penalties starting at $50 for the first offense and climbing to $500 for the third citation within a year. The rules apply to cars, trucks, and motorcycles too.
We're a little more than a month into President Donald Trump's second term as president, and there's been some local pushback to his agenda across the country, including right here in Huntsville. One local group is looking to activate the community toward political action, like hosting events such as the No Kings on President's Day protests in Big Spring Park that happened last month. Our Simon Williams has more.
Get together, stay together, build our community. We need to be indivisible.
Indivisible Alabama 5th District Spring Kickoff event looked at galvanized folks ahead of a season of action.
We must be prepared to do what we claim government officials refuse to do. Love our neighbors as we love ourselves.
A dozen or so local social justice organizations gathered with like-minded folks about shared areas of concern.
Gathering groups together, you knit people together that all have a shared common goal, which is opposing authoritarianism and protecting the rights of everyone.
Tonight's meeting leaned into networking political action. There are so many issues on so many fronts, and many were represented at the event. Attendees spoke about the urgency of the moment.
Well, there's a lot of important issues happening in D.C. and in Montgomery. Our legislative session is underway, and we have Congress debating really significant cuts to important safety net programs like Medicaid, like SNAP. Those issues are important to poor and working class people here in Alabama, so they're important to us.
We all want to have good paying,
jobs. We all want to be respected on the job. We all want to know that our work matters and to feel like the people above us in our chain of command also know and understand that. And unions are uniquely placed in society to be able to move beyond some platitudes and messaging kind of things to be able to think strategically about how we can actually change society.
Goodness will kill bad. So we are going to prove that. We're going to prove with our kindness, with our love to each other. And we're going to get as a group, and we're going to fight this as a people, as a group of people, to get our freedom back.
In Huntsville, Simon Williams, Fox 54 News.
One of the next actions Indivisible expects is trying to meet with U.S. Representative Dale Strong to get him to vouch for the federal workforce layoffs that affect his constituents. Strong is set to be back in the 5th Congressional District next week during Congress' spring recess. Fox 54 has reached out to Congressman Strong to see about any local events he might be holding, but have not yet heard back. A former Kirtland police officer has pled guilty to sexually assaulting a woman while on duty and receiving sexually explicit photos of a minor. Jared Webster admitted that back in 2023, he pulled a woman over for a traffic stop. He then asked the woman to step out of the car and asked her what she wanted to do to, quote, get out of this. The woman told Webster that she was not going to do anything for him, and that's when he handcuffed the woman and sexually assaulted her. Webster also admitted that between 2016 and 2018, he asked the minor to produce and send him sexually explicit images. The minor sent multiple photos to Webster at his request, at least one of which constituted child sexual abuse material. Webster pled guilty to 1 count of deprivation of rights under color of law and 1 count of sexual exploitation of children. He is scheduled to be sentenced on May 20th. For the charge of deprivation of rights under color of law, Webster faces a maximum penalty of life in prison, 5 years of supervised release, and a fine of up to $250,000. For the child sexual exploitation charge, he faces a prison term of 15 to 30 years. A supervised release term of 5 years to life, and a fine of up to $250,000.
Over at John Hunt Park, the city and the Ray of Hope Foundation decided to take to the sky today. It was their 13th annual community kite festival. Some people soared and others spent most of the afternoon trying to get theirs untangled. But it's all for reaching the community. One of the foundations responsible for hosting the event, Asha Kiran, helps survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence. While they offer good fun and plenty to do for families, the majority of their work is helping out those who can't get out of a bad situation on their own. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us out to the Kite Festival to show us what made today so important for the nonprofit.
It's pretty good.
That's what I've been hearing all day from some of the people who braved the wind and decided to go out flying. It's the annual Kite Festival here at Huntsville's John Hunt Park, and it is the perfect day for flying. High wind and heavy sun make for a chance for families to spend the day having fun together while learning about Huntsville's nonprofits. Asha Kiran hosts the festival, and it's all in the name of raising awareness. Awareness is the name of the game for Asha Kiran, a local nonprofit aimed at helping those who have survived domestic violence, assault, and human trafficking. Coordinator Kara Godletsky says the work they do is serious enough to save a life, but they bring it to light using community events and being active in the city to let people know they're here.
It's a good way to bring fun to a topic that sometimes can be dark, and it can be a good way to just bring awareness and have people learn about us and also other nonprofits in the area. We just want to provide awareness because awareness is the first step to addressing these issues within our community.
And with the city of Huntsville, Randy Barber says days like today take the stigma off of seeking help together.
This gives everybody an opportunity to come out, to celebrate one another, and to engage with one another in an activity that is about lifting things up, right? Like lifting cultures up, lifting and celebrating each other.
This is representing different cultures and organizations, and they're all flying a kite together, showing that they can get along.
Even attendees told me how much fun it was to spend the day with their family.
It's been really nice. It means a lot to me that we can just come out here, enjoy the early spring weather, and just enjoy our time together.
Even if their kite got stuck in a tree.
It was like way up here, and so I kept asking people to help me get it. They just ignored me. And then one sweet man came by and helped. I would go again if I could. I hope everybody has a special kite day.
In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
All right, if you want to see some of those kites flying high, you can catch out our stream from this afternoon on our app, Fox 54 Plus.
Over in Fort Payne, a portion of the Little River Canyon Creek Center will be closing its doors at the end of the year. The National Park Service's administrative offices located inside the building are part of the cuts announced from the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. Our Gabe Glassman explains not all of the visitor center is going away.
Confusion rising as to what the future holds for the Little River Canyon Visitor Center. Managers of the building confirming they will be continuing operations. The Department of Government Efficiency, commonly known as DOGE, posted on their website the National Park Service's lease for the center will be terminated, saving the country just under $80,000. The area being closed, a hallway. However, Jacksonville State University runs the Canyon Center, and they say these lease terminations will not affect them. In a statement to FOX54, Jack State President Dr. Don C. Killingsworth Jr. says Jack State's role in managing and maintaining the Canyon Center will remain unchanged, and we do not anticipate any disruptions to our service, educational programs, or community engagement efforts. As we move forward, we will work closely with our partners and stakeholders to evaluate any potential impacts and ensure the continued success of this important facility. These closings of NPS administrative offices have baffled others. The National Parks Conservation Association posted nearly 36 NPS offices also affected by these lease cancellations. The Fort Payne NPS offices may be located inside the Canyon Center, but they are not operated by JSU. Killingsworth Jr. says a portion of the facility is leased to the National Park Service, but Jack State remains responsible for the building's management, operations, and programming. DOGE's impacts have been felt beyond Little River Canyon. They've posted nearly 750 lease terminations, totaling around $470 million in savings. The National Park Service office, which is located inside the visitor center, is set to close at the end of 2025. From Fort Payne, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
DOGE is also reporting more than 4,000 contract terminations as of tonight. They're estimating results will save $15 billion. Thank you, Jordan. The Madison City Zoning Board to decide yay or nay on a new ER. It's not the final decision, but it is a step closer, and it's what's on the table tonight. Crestwood Medical Center submitted a request for a zoning change so it can build a new freestanding emergency department on property it already owns. That property is on the corner of Madison and Research Boulevards. The facility would be open around the clock and handle minor emergency cases. FOX54's Gabe Glassman is out in Madison to see why this vote is so important.
The Madison City Zoning Board coming together tonight with the discussion of a potential new freestanding emergency room from Crestwood Medical Center being the only scheduled topic on tonight's agenda. Project papers say this is needed to better serve a larger and aging area. The land where the proposed ER would be placed is already owned by Crestwood Medical. The proposed project would also include a parking lot and a ground-based helipad. We talked to a Madison resident on why she believes this could be a good addition to the city.
I just feel like it'll definitely be a necessity for us as a whole. Just with the whole city just kind of growing at this point, I think it'll really be conducive to what we need at the moment for any emergency. The Madison Hospital that's already out here doesn't really suit everybody because they still end up getting transported to Huntsville or Crestwood. So I think that it will allow us a little more resources for sure.
The Madison Zoning Board is currently considering the project and a meeting. We'll have more from those talks later tonight. But for now, from Madison, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
In its plans, Crestwood notes the building would be similar to this one, a standalone ER that opened last summer in Harvest. It's 12,000 square feet, 1 story tall. This is proposed for Madison. Crestwood says the new ER would serve a growing community and reduce travel times for those in need of care. We have our first declared candidate for the next mayor of Madison. District 5's Renee Bartlett announced today that she is running to fill the role. She's the first one to throw her hat in the ring after Mayor Paul Finley announced he wasn't going to run for re-election back in October. Bartlett currently serves as president pro tempore on the Madison City Council, but her career spans beyond that to nonprofit leadership and corporate law. In 2013, she founded the Madison City Chess League, which fosters community engagement and programs in chess education, and led a dedicated initiative for young girls. Currently, she serves as the executive director of the U.S. Chess Federation. We sat down with Bartlett to learn more about her campaign. Take a listen.
Well, you know, with the growth that we're seeing here in the city of Madison, it's really time to invest in ourselves, and that means our roads, sidewalks, green space, the downtown area that we're standing in right here, and our schools. And so we need to take care of ourselves. At the same time, we need to be financially responsible. They're just basic roads, basic improvement, neighborhood paving that needs to occur, and we just need to take care of the residents that we have before we continue to expand and annex more.
And we'll hear more from Bartlett tonight at 9. The 2025 Madison municipal election is set for August 26th.
Decatur man set to be executed, but now his sentence has been commuted by Governor Kay Ivey. The governor has changed the sentence for Robin Rocky Myers to life in prison with no chance of parole. Myers was convicted in the 90s for killing his 69-year-old neighbor. Lily Tucker was found dead after being stabbed in her Decatur home back in 1991. Her cousin, who was also attacked but survived, testified that the doorbell rang during the middle of the night. She heard a man asking about using the telephone. Then she heard Tucker screaming out her name. Governor Kay Ivey said in the statement she is not convinced that Myers is innocent, but also not convinced of his guilt as to approve his execution. The governor cited concerns of no murder weapon being found, no physical evidence tying him to the scene of the crime. She also added that although the victim knew Myers and let her attacker inside the house, neither she nor her cousin, the only two eyewitnesses to the crime, ever identified him as the assailant. There is other circumstantial evidence, but the governor said it is riddled with conflicting evidence from seemingly everyone involved. Jurors originally voted 9-3 that Myers served life in prison, but the judge sentenced Myers to death anyway under a now abolished system that let judges decide death sentences.
A Redstone Arsenal site noted for heavy contamination decades ago has been partially removed from the federal Superfund list. It's a sign of progress cleaning up the land around what's known as Operational Unit 8. The EPA has noted substantial improvement in the quality of the ground at Unit 8, which straddles Rideout Road, enough to move it to a classification that allows for continued monitoring, but ends active cleanup work. Other sites at Redstone do remain on the Superfund list.
Local nonprofit Shower Up is expanding its efforts to help Huntsville's homeless population. This weekend, they announced they'll soon be bringing mobile laundry services to the Rocket City. The new mobile unit will not only serve the homeless, but also be available for disaster relief, providing clean clothes to those in crisis. A generous donor has already contributed a matching $3,000, meaning your donations to Shower Up will be doubled, helping get the unit on the road faster.
Shower Up COO Taylor Reed explained to FOX54 that this unit will help a lot of people.
There's also people who live in low-income housing that don't have their own washer and dryer, and it costs them $9 per load to wash their clothes. And so there's children that are going to school in dirty clothes, and there's parents that are trying to go to work in dirty clothes. We're trying to help them as well. So we're really going to expand who we're serving with this capacity, and really anybody who can't afford laundry, we want to bring this to them. And being on wheels, we're going to go meet them where they are and make sure they have clean clothes to wear tomorrow.
What a big help. To donate to Shower Up, find the link at fox54.com.
Well, it's been an eventful day here in the Rocket City. Folks lined up to experience a new space for interactive learning near University and the Parkway. It Signals, a museum all about how we get our information. From TV to radio to communication tools used long before those, Signal has exhibits to let you interact with tech throughout history.
Here, it's not just a static museum. A lot of museums you walk into and it's basically static things on a shelf. Dr. Mark Bendixson has created an education experience. People actually get to stand and send a telegraph message with Samuel Morse. Then they may get to sit at a switchboard with Ma Bell and learn how that technology works. So it's not just a static walk-through museum, it's hands-on education.
I feel like Huntsville has so much history and engineering, and so this is just, it's been amazing.
Signal has event spaces available to rent and technology courses. For more information about the museum's hours and how to visit, go to our website at fox54.com.
A total of 5 Tennessee Valley area high school basketball teams had an opportunity to play for Blue Maps in 4 championship games here on Friday, and our first matchup featured a pair of squads. Squaring off in the girls' Class 2A state championship was Pisgah and Decatur Heritage. The Eagles are searching for state title number 11. Pisgah had a double-digit lead in the first, but the third quarter belonged to the Eagles. Jeannie McGee taking it up court, splits two defenders, and scores for Decatur Heritage. Then off the steal, Leslie Haynes finishes on the fast break layup. Decatur Heritage is up by 3, and their fans are loving it. But Pisgah didn't stay down for long. In the fourth quarter, Allie Romans drives the baseline, scores, and won. She had 15 points. We are tied at 66. Back and forth we go. It's McGee blowing by everyone again. She scored 32 points today for Decatur Heritage to keep it close. But Pisgah has been in this position so many times, and they find a way to get it done. Ashton Childress grabbing the rebound off the miss and scores to put back in the paint. Pisgah pulls away at the end, and Carrie Ellison leads the Lady Eagles to their 11th state title in school history by a final score of 84-72 in a 2A state championship.
Everything that we needed to happen happened. We knew the run was coming the second half, but we answered it. They cut it to 3. We pulled it back out. They got it back. Even went ahead. But there was never we never checked up. It was so exciting, and I'm really, really fired up about it.
Coming back against a high-level team like that, it shows a lot of character. Says a lot about our character that we have here at Decatur Heritage. But they made some plays, and it was a great game. Like, they have nothing to hang their heads about.
Girls Class 3A, Lauderdale County tried to win a blue map against St. James of Montgomery. Fourth quarter, Lady Tigers down 3 with 2 minutes to go. They go inside to Meredith Newton, and she makes it a 1-point game with that bucket. Moments later, Sarah Smith gets great positioning in the paint and scores. Lauderdale County takes the lead for the first time in quite a bit with that bucket. St. James, though, they would make some free throws, and we're going to overtime. In the extra frame, St. James gets the early momentum. Going on top as Caitlin Mitchell is left wide open in the corner and hit from outside. Trojans with the lead, but not for long. Sheila Marks scores 2 of her 32 points in the paint, and another blue map is heading to Lauderdale County High School. Lady Tigers beat St. James 58-52 in overtime.
I was hoping going in the game that, like I said, our being seniors and our experience may help us in this game over them. And I don't know, like I said, they're a great team, but like I said, our never give up mentality carried us a lot out there today.
Outside of practice, it's hard work, hours and hours, and hundreds of thousands of shots that have gone into that game, and it just makes it all worth it.
In the boys' Class 3A finals, Morris Hill trailed by 17 at 1 point. But when Eli Punder scores this bucket, it was a 1-point game. But Montgomery Academy finding a way to pull away from the Panthers. Braden Gordon driving and hits the running floater, 23 points for him. Then Jared Friendly slams it home in the paint. Morris Hill falls in the Class 3A state championship game to Montgomery Academy by a final score of 65-56. Final game of the day, Plainview taking on Jackson in the boys' Class 4A state title game. Jackson was in control of this game as the Aggies' Roderick Hamilton comes through with the pump fake, steps back, and hits the three-pointer from downtown. But Plainview fought back. Sawyer Wilborn knocking down the three-pointer of his own. He scored 21 points to lead his team, and we are tied at 42 in the final seconds. Here we go. Isaiah Gladney gets the rock at the top of the key, drives, puts up a shot at the buzzer, and it's good. Plainview loses at the buzzer in the boys' Class 4A state title game by a final score of 44-42. Here's head coach Cade Willingham after the contest.
We had our chances. We had our chances. But give them credit. When we took the lead, what did they do? They went down there, do what good teams do. They go down there and score. And so it's kind of how the game was.
And now wrapping our coverage of high school state championships on Friday. Coming up on Saturday, we'll have the 5, 6, and Class 7A state championship games.
We're going to call today Championship Saturday as 2 high school teams from the Tennessee Valley hoping to bring blue maps back to their hometowns. Let's start in the high school ranks. Scottsboro girls basketball in the 5A title game for the second year in a row. Second quarter, ball goes to Morgan Perkins on the wing. She dribbles, pulls the trigger, and it goes swish. Perkins ends up with 11. Later, it's Isabel Nelson off the inbound. Count the bucket and the foul for the eventual MVP. Lady Cats trail by 2 at the end of the first half. Now, Ramsey outscored Scottsboro in both the second and third quarters. Here in the third, Nayala Wesley shows her relentlessness, getting her own rebound and putting it back. She scored a team-high 15 points, and the Rams' largest lead was 7. But in the fourth quarter, Scottsboro really shined. Ramsey turns it over near midcourt, and Morgan Perkins off to the races, laying it in on the fly. The Lady Cats lead by 3. Soon after, Bree Sexton adds 2 more points. She was a star all season long, scored 15. This one got really tight at the end. A missed Ramsey free throw in the final seconds proved to be the difference. And for the first time in program history, Scottsboro girls basketball wins it all, 5A state champions, by the score of 54-53.
Gosh, I'm just so proud of these girls. We worked so hard for this. Came so close last year, and got an opportunity to come back. And everything's got to fall into place right. Stayed healthy, and gosh, just a roller coaster game. I just couldn't be proud of our effort.
Also looking to make history with the Florence boys, playing nationally ranked Hoover in the first ever championship appearance in Falcons history. First quarter, Bryant James goes hard to the basket, gets the hoop and the harm. He was sensational today, scored 20 points. Then later, as the quarter expires, James driving, flings it to the wing to a wide open J shot. Pearson, the bank is open. The Florence crowd goes nuts. The Falcons lead by 1 at the end of 1 quarter. But Hoover started to prove why no one has bested them all year. About a minute into the period, Salim London splashes down the corner long ball. That put the Bucks up 4. And then less than a minute later, same side of the floor, but this time it's Austin Dudley from the wing. Hoover led by 8 at the half and by 12 at the end of the third quarter. But the Falcons showed tons of fight to get themselves back in this game. Jamarian Reeder's bucket makes it a 5-point game with about 3 minutes to play. But Hoover closes out the game and is the first ever undefeated 7A team in the history of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. The title goes to the Bucks, and a runner-up Red Map will travel back to Florence after a 66-56 loss.
At this time of the year, there's only one team that wins the last game. We fully believed that we were going to be that last team. We talked about it since November, talked about it since August. This wasn't just things fell in place. We knew that we were supposed to be here. And while it hurts right now, I cannot say enough about these 3 that are up here and those guys in that locker room.
It's that time of the year. Mardi Gras has made its way to Huntsville. And what better way to celebrate the festivities than with the parade? Hundreds lined the streets of downtown Huntsville earlier this afternoon for all the fun. Groups from around the city participated with floats, dancing, and of course, there were lots and lots of beads. And what's Mardi Gras without music? Local musicians, including Microwave Dave, contributed to the soundtrack of today's celebration.
And that will wrap up this Week in Review. Remember our mobile app for breaking news and weather headlines 24/7, and for original series like this one and bonus content you won't get on air. It's the Fox 54 Plus app. Download on your TV, watch for free. For the entire Fox 54 news team, I'm Kenesha Dees. See you next time.